yesteryear. Now we're on the 4th of Nisan. Naturally, that's Dalet Nisan. Marks the Hilula of a famous rabbi. His name was Avraham Raphael Kalfon. Zeche Tzadik Livracha. He was born in English year 1820 and passed away in 1886. We're talking about 139 years ago approximately from the time of recording here in 2025. He will famously be known as a very, very well-travelled Shluchei D'Rabbanan, rabbinic emissary. He would also become a rabbi in Tetuan in Morocco, a prominent one, a rabbi, I believe, in Bטבריה, one of the 4 holy cities of Israel, head of Jewish court, and the Rosh Yeshiva in Haifa, respectively. Various different prominent positions. Let's explore a few of the highlights of the great rabbi's life. Now, he was born and came from rabbinic auspices. His father's name was Rabbi Kalfon, I believe, in Tetuan in Morocco. And he would learn inside various different, let's say, Mostot foundations at that point in time that were, let's just say, in that specific vicinity in of itself. And he would get married, I believe, to Rabbinit Esther, who came from the family, the Salamah family, if I'm not mistaken, and would get a prominent position, I believe, as a rabbi in the city. I think a position on the pulpit in of itself, respectively. Now, I believe it was in around the time period of 1860. He would have been 40 years of age. He would actually embark on the journey and make Aliyah to land of Eretz Israel. Respectively, I believe he would travel with his family and come to Bטבריה. Tiberias actually being one of the 4 holy cities of Israel, along with Tzfat, Hebron, and Jerusalem, and he'll be appointed as a rabbi over there. There's very much various different, say, rabbinic roles he would have. But at a later stage, he would make the move to Haifa. I think Haifa had a prominent Jewish community over there. I think there was a passing of a rabbi we've mentioned about on various occasions for Rav Elazar HaKohen Chamtzi. That was in the year 1881. So he would be appointed in his stead as head of Jewish court of Bet Din, and also a Rosh Yeshiva, very prominent positions over there, very responsible positions, and a great rabbinic potential and galaxy over there, let's just say in of itself. Now, he would actually become appointed as a Shluchei D'Rabbanan. They would actually, due to various, let's say, public activities and congregational needs, he will travel to Beirut in Lebanon, I think also to Izmir in Turkey, and was among very much tried to activate, let's say, was very active with regards to urging Moroccan Jews to come to the land of Israel. Now, it's interesting. He would have great correspondence with various different rabbis at that stage in time, including Rabbi Menashe Saton, I believe, which, interesting enough, I think they wrote to each other. And there's various other rabbis, especially from Beirut, and also including Rabbi Yaakov Shaul Elisha, who would happen to be, I believe, the chief rabbi, the Rishon LeZion, between the years 1893 to 1906, who'd been in correspondence with them. The famous Rabbi Yosef Shmuel Abulafia, who we've spoken about on various occasions before. They're coming from the rabbinic dynasty. Many of them were actually from Bטבריה, respectively. Another great rabbi we mentioned about before, Rabbi Yeshua Basis, who was very, very much a great rabbi, who we've also, I believe, dedicated the video with in regards to. He happens to be a great Tunisian rabbi now, and the head of Jewish court in Tunis. So he was not just in correspondence with the Israeli rabbis, looked at and encompassed the whole North African territories in himself. Rabbi Yitzchak Hai Tayyib, another great rabbi that we mentioned about before, and very much you could just see the wide range of rabbonim he would actually correspond with. Really was absolutely incredible. Now, as well as being a great rabbi, he would compose various piyutim, including for Brit Milah, for circumcision celebration. I think also reported over a piyut in honor of Rabbi Meir Bal Hanes, and I think he would write other workings, I think, connected to the festival of Hanukkah, if I'm not mistaken, which is very, very interesting. Now, he passed away, I believe, in the year 1886, it was. Yeah, he passed away on the 4th of Nisan, and I think he was buried in a Haifa cemetery, if I'm not mistaken. I think actually very near Rabbi Avdimi Daman, if I'm not mistaken. It happened to be, I think, a famous Amorah, let's just say from the 2nd generation and 3rd generation of Amorim of Eretz Israel, it's reported over. So he was buried in the Jewish cemetery in Haifa, and had various roles during his time. And he was replaced eventually in the rabbinate by another rabbi, Rabbi Harav Masud Hatashu'al who would go on to become head of Jewish quarter there, Rosh Yeshiva of Tiberias and Haifa, respectively. And Rabbi Masud, I believe we mentioned about him on a couple of occasions before in this series. His Hilula actually happened to be himself on Yud Gimel Adar just about a month ago, on Tanit Esther. Very interesting. He left very. Let's explore some of the descendants that he left also, including his son, Rabbi Yamin Kalfon, who would go on to become a famous rabbi in Tiberias and in Haifa, and it was reported over. He was also, so he was, I think, part of the neighborhood, the Arad neighborhood, or Elihud, in the city, very enough. Now, among his, I believe, his grandchildren was Mordechai Kalfon, who was apparently recorded over a musician, Israeli, and a cantor with regards to Sephardi Jerusalem music style is reported over. Very interesting enough. Now, let's explore some more of the descendants. I think he had a son called Shmuel Kalfon, who would become a merchant and would have various different business merchants in himself. We headed reports over the Hebrew Kedisha over there in Haifa, and had various different governing, let's say, commitments in, I think, local school also, if I'm not mistaken. Also, Yosef, I believe, and that son was a merchant. He also happened to be an Arabic teacher, I believe, in local school in Haifa. Then that son, Moshe Kalfon, was, I think, a founder of a synagogue and a yeshiva in Haifa, and he would himself, I believe, reported get married to the daughter of Rav Moshe Ben Naim, he himself happened to be the chief rabbi of Gibraltar, which is interesting. So he left, as we can see, various descendants. I think he would have descendant Avraham Kalfon, another person. What's interesting about him, Avraham Kalfon, was that I think he happened to be a member of the second Knesset, the Miflagat Mapa, if I'm not mistaken. Very interesting enough. So that's interesting. I think had a connection with Neri Livna, if I'm not mistaken. And yes, that's very, very interesting. Okay, I think his son was, another one of them was Rabbi David Kalfon, who was an Ivrit teacher, I believe, Hebrew teacher, once again in a local Jewish school. I'll be appointed also in a position in the neighborhood of Arad, Elihudi, Haifa. And there was more descendants. I think another descendant will go on to Cairo, various positions over there. I think maybe connected to teaching, but I'm not too sure. And very much there was other descendants were scattered around. I think he had a daughter of the name Seti. Very interesting enough. I believe that was her name, Seti, and she would get married to Rav Naftali Lordo, if I'm not mistaken. Now he left great books also, including the Pada et Avraham, which was a Shut, a Sheilot, and Shuvot, questions and answer books on various Chidushim and Drashot and various different poems, Piyutim. I think that was left in manuscript form, if I'm not mistaken. The Ma'at Achal, which was a book on the Mishlei, the book of Proverbs, respectively. I think that was once again in a manuscript form. And Achal V'chai Le'olam, which was a book on the Psalms, Sefer of the Tehillim, respectively. So he lived approximately about 66 years of age when he passed away. He was a famous rabbi in his vicinity, let's just say famous Moroccan, very well-traveled rabbi, a rabbi that will make his mark, let's just say, in Israel at the time of Ottoman rule. And so please, friends, we're a community here, we're learning about the great rabbis of yesteryear. We've covered around 125 Chacham, at least from Morocco, I would say, approximately. Please, if you feel anyone's interested in watching these videos, share the videos to those people respectively. If you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. We're a community here. We're learning about the great Oriental rabbis of yesteryear, the great Spanish rabbis of yesteryear over here. One very few places in English that will do this. And please send me a comment if you happen to be related to any of the great Chachamim we are speaking about. So wishing you all well and take care.